So I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have experienced moments where you go home to relax and you turn on Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or whatever, and you end up planning to watch 1 or 2 episodes, and you end up staying there for, if not 3 hours, 4 hours, and adding on to an additional movie. And soon after, you're participating in this activity called binge watching. And binge watching is essentially just that, just indulging your time in, spending time on movies and television shows for extended amounts of time that interrupt with your regular life patterns. So my major claim tonight, and my name is Miyah COF, and my major claim tonight is that binge watching through streaming platforms will have many negative effects on your individual, physical, and mental abilities in the long term. So I will prove this point with my first claim that binge watching has a negative effect on the mind, and through my second point that binge watching has a negative effect on your overall health in the long term. So to go back to my first claim, watching hours of episodes go back to back usually shortens your sleeping patterns for the individual viewer. According to the Journal of Sleep Medicine, it is reported that, sorry, I'm a little bit sick and busy away. According to the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine, through a study, it is reported that 80% of people out of a group of 423 people reported themselves as binge watchers, and they have binged an average of 3 hours and 8 minutes on a daily basis. And according to Dr. Raj Dasgupta, a doctor at the Keck School of Medicine at USC, he has noted that millennials are scraping by with as little as 6 hours of sleep each night. This pattern of sleep deprivation can result in an increase in anxiety and depression, which makes us prone to mistakes and stress the following day. And adding on to this only worsens the issue after all. And from personal experiences, I have binge watched through entire seasons of The Office or Criminal Minds each night, and I have experienced that stress furthermore when I go to work and I end up making mistakes on simple problems that I do each day. Furthermore, viewers have a higher tendency to be distracted by television when they're trying to accomplish another task. In a case study performed in a group of 62 student volunteers enrolled in a psychology course, 63% identified Netflix binging as an academic obstacle, and 64% perceived this binge watching as an excessive activity that didn't need to be in your day-to-day tasks. Furthermore, the technology of streaming has essentially eliminated choice, making the mind less active, because each episode is queued after your decision to watch that episode. So you don't necessarily have the choice to pause when you're ready, because you only have 5 seconds to decide, and usually your brain is too connected with the activities of the show, and you're invested, so you want to continue to watch. So each of those points shows how that interferes with your daily activities, and showing how it interferes with your thought process and the results of it afterwards. Right. Secondly, investing large amounts of time in streaming television negatively affects the individual's health, because as you're sitting on the couch or in the comfort of your home in your bed, your metabolism and bodily functions slow down when you're sitting because your muscles are not contracting anymore. Health scholars Francisco Xavier and other research proctors found that binge watching television may be deadlier than sitting at a desk or driving in a car all day. According to the study, consuming more than 3 hours of television each day is directly associated with higher rates of mortality and diabetes and cardiovascular disease, regardless of physical activity. So if you compare that to the results of the earlier study, those people who were in that group of 423 people would have a higher rate of mortality and in diabetes and cardiovascular disease as well. And lastly, as you are staring at the screen for those long hours, your eyes can become strained, which can result in tired of focusing, and you can lose focus at a certain point. And then you can eventually cause long-term damage on your eyes through stressing and tearing of your musculatures. in your eye structure. Okay, and to conclude, each point of my stance would be that binge watching through the streaming platforms would have a negative effect on how you interact with people on a day-to-day basis, perform daily tasks, and your sleeping patterns would eventually degrade as well.
Okay, structurally things are clear at the beginning. We know what the proposition is. That's good. I like the reference that you kind of have to your own personal experience as you set this up. That works nicely. There's a good preview of the supporting points. I think you rush it a little bit and you can pace yourself. You've got a little bit of time, and I think that would be clearer. It sounded to me like you had 3 supporting points that you were going to get to in the body of the speech. In the body of the speech, I could pick out 2. I wasn't sure that there was a third one. It may have been that the first one had a second part to it, so that was a little less distinct than it might have been. I never felt lost, but I was sometimes uncertain as to whether this was related to the previous point or if it was something that was going to support a later point. One example of something that's a little bit confusing on that, you've got the information about the amount of time that people are getting sleep, and they're trying to get by on a limited amount of sleep. But I thought, okay, that's pretty good, but that seemed to me like it would be one of the physical health effects, but you've also got it up there in the point on sort of like the mental effects that we're dealing with. And so if it applies in both places, that's fine, but I think you need to say that and make reference back to that information when you get to the other point, because I think it would be useful in that last point on the health effects as well. You've got plenty of hypothetical examples and personal examples. Here's the thing that I'm a little concerned with, and that is there any documentation that shows that people's actions and behaviors when it comes to the amount of time they spend watching television has changed as a result of streaming? Everybody knows what binge watching is, and everybody's probably guilty of it, but are they watching any more television in a row than they were before? Are they, there's plenty of stuff that people have had on TV for years, and I'm sorry, I've been around a long time. I've been hearing these arguments about how stupid, I don't want to say stupid, how bad it is for kids to spend large amounts of hours on television. I'm going, so how is this a different argument than what people might have said 30 years ago when they said, kids shouldn't be watching 4 hours of TV a day? Going, okay, well, that's what we're talking about. You had a number there like 3.3 hours, 3.8 hours a day or something like that. I'm going, well, how is it different? And the one place where you have something that suggests there's something different is the notion that there isn't a pause between the episodes, that there's something that kind of hooks people in and holds them in. And that's something that I think you need more evidence on. I think that it might be a true statement, but I don't know that it's one that you can prove with anything that you've got here. And that's what we're looking for, is some proof on that. I know there are plenty of people who watch television programs. For example, I'm one of them. I'm perfectly willing to watch Stranger Things 1 episode at a time. Like I'll come back weekly and say, okay, let's stretch it out over 8 weeks, because I don't want it to be done in 7 hours like some people do. I've waited a year for this, and now they've got to watch the whole thing, and then it's done. I understand there are plenty of people like that, but I'm not one of those people, so it's hard for me to see what you're talking about. That's why I need some extra proof. On the other hand, I've been perfectly guilty of watching 7 episodes of a television show in a row. I could sit there and do that, but usually not a new one. It's usually something old that I've watched and I've seen before, and I say, well, let's just leave this on and keep rolling through the day, because I can tune in and out on it. But I'm different. I fit in a different group, a different demographic, and so you need to get some information that I think shows me that the demographic that you're talking about, people who are growing up or living in this lifestyle, they're the ones that are having that particular effect. It was reasonably well organized. Like I said, I thought it was a little unclear whether there were 2 or 3 supporting points. I did think that you cited some good information in the presentation. I like the statistics that you had. There are a couple of quotes that you talk about this. There is a place where there is an assertion, for example, the last point when you're talking about eye strain, all of that is all completely asserted. I didn't hear any information to support or back up that particular point. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying you need to get the information into the speech and cite it as part of your argument. All right. Thank you.